Hi, Prankster here. Welcome to my first tutorial on the Battle of Stalingrad mission editor. As you see, I've just opened up the program, and when you first do that, you are greeted by a blank mission called My Mission. So to get started, I've created a template, a dogfight template on the small dogfight map. This is available to download on the website. I'll just open it up now. Go to File, Open, and you'll find the mission should be saved out to the Battle of Stalingrad Data Multiplayer Dogfight folder, and this one's called TP Dogfight Small Template .mission. So we'll open that up, and you'll see the 3D interface in the middle has changed. The name's changed to the new mission. Okay, there's several things you should know about the mission editor to get started with. So first of all, you've got a little floating dialog box called Mission Properties. This is probably the most important part of the program. This is where you create most of your settings and modify them. Up here is a tree showing all the objects in your mission, including any controllers or triggers or anything else. If it goes up, that's hidden at the top of the tree is the name of the mission file. Okay, so as you'll see in the mission properties, because we've got the mission, the tree selected at the top, it's showing the overall properties for the entire mission, including the mission name, the date. You can change that obviously, the time of day. If you want to say an hour on, you'll see the weather change down to 12 o'clock, back again. Next down is the mission type, in this case deathmatch, which is standard sort of dogfight server. You've got other options. Single mission is when you want to obviously create a single mission, offline mission. Cooperative, I think it's just a hangover from the Rise of Flight days. I don't think it actually works in this. Again, campaign, I'm not sure that works, and everything else below it, apart from capture flag, I don't think that works either. But everything below it is to do with the built-in Battle of Stalingrad campaign. So at the bottom, it's just actually you've got the author name, which you can obviously change. Now you've got train presets. This is at the moment we've got the Lapino map loaded, which is the small dogfight map. You can obviously load the big Stalingrad map, although it will take a while to load in properly. Okay, down below the terrain presets, you'll see GUI map. That's the 2D map you see in game. I don't need to alter that. The season, obviously we've only got winter at the moment, but there's options of others. So the atmospheric options allow you to change the types of cloud, and also you can add precipitations, rain or snow, and down here turbulence, wind speeds at different heights above the ground and different directions, temperature of the map. Obviously that's probably setting the height above sea level, we don't need to do that, and the sea state, which we know we don't need. So down the bottom is description. This is what comes up to the players in description when they enter the game. And this is just fairly standard HTML code. Break here would indicate a break in line to do a new line. You can also do obviously bold or underline, things like that. Okay, so that's the basic mission settings. Now, how do we set an airfield? So we've created a dogfight map here, and obviously the main component is you want an airfield to spawn aircraft on. So we can do that through the 3D interface here. first of all, let me describe the 3D interface. Left and hold is panning like that. Well, actually it's rotating. Right and hold is the pan, back, forward, left and right. Middle button gives you height up and down, or middle wheel if you've got a scroll wheel. Now if you go to the top menu here, you'll find a toggle camera button, and that takes you from the ground level view to a plan view. It's still a 3D view interface, but in this case you're looking straight down. So similar way, the wheel zooms in and out, right button pans around, left button in this case, if you hold it, drags out to a selection box, and if it's, you can individually select with one click. Obviously select and hold and other things, which is fine. So we go down on one of the airfields, and you'll see all the buildings here. All the buildings in the airfield are actually in this thing called a group, and which is obviously a group of objects within the game. We can go in and look at them individually. So if we right click on them and say set group as working, this opens up the group. Now only things within that group can be selected, but you can see each one. You'll see it's made up of 3 blocks. Each block is a number of these objects, like the shelters, aircraft shelters, etc. So if you just move one of those around a bit, you'll see that it moves the objects around. You don't want to do it too much, because obviously you don't want to move objects off their base too much. Okay, so we played around with that. We'll just close it back down. So right click on any of the objects and say reset working group, and that just closes it. Now you see the other objects have come back. We've got several objects I've put here, such as 2 AA positions, a windsock, obviously quite useful, and over here is the airfield. This should already be on the map, and normally it's hasn't got any settings on it. So when you click on it, go over here. I've already set the name, Tigersfield. I can change that obviously. Just go in and type. One thing to be careful is don't use any apostrophes, because that will stop the map from loading. Right, to change the planes, it's very simple. Just go into planes here, click on it, get some little box, and let's take out a plane, delete. Okay, so we're going to add that PE2 I just took out back in, so PE2, and we can set the number of planes, but in this case we're unlimited. That's the number allowed on the base. It's starting position, part on runway, in the air. Obviously you can set the altitude, and that's pretty much all you need to know. You can set a call sign if you really want to for that plane. The default loadout, obviously if you lock loadout in the game, then that has an effect, otherwise not. Same with skin, but most of those can be ignored. You have the AI level. Again, you don't need to worry about that, because you're looking, it's player spawning things. If it's a multiplayer game, don't set it to player. If there's a player option, it's could just set it to one of the other ones. So okay, so that's now brought the P2 into the game. So we hit OK. Let's confirm that. I don't know worry about edit chart. Now, the airfield, like a lot of objects, all objects in the game, has 2 states. It can either be a linked entity or an unlinked entity. A linked entity is something that the game, all the AI software and triggers and stuff can actually see and work with. An unlinked entity, if we deleted this, it would become unlinked. Is a void entity. Some things like buildings will still appear in the map, but they won't have any function apart from being destroyed. So if we go over to one of these buildings over here, this group of buildings, you'll see that's isn't unlinked at the moment, so it's got a create linked entity. And if we were to create it, which we can do there, we can now link it in. So say if it was destroyed, we could send a trigger off to a victory condition or something like that. But normally building stuff you don't want as linked, because it just sucks up additional computer time resources. Some things won't appear in the game, like vehicles and stuff, unless they're linked entities. If you just have them unlinked, they won't actually appear. Okay, so we've set up the planes on the airfield, but we haven't told it which side to be. And this brings up another dialog box. In properties, you have something called advanced properties, and this is off to the right of the name. There's a little arrow. We click on it, and we can bring up Airfield advanced properties. And we can set the side. Let's go to Russian. Call sign of the airfield, which we're not worried about. And that's pretty much all you need to know on there for the moment. So say OK. You can also bring that off in here. If you right click on the actual object on the 3D map, you can bring up the advanced properties there, and you can also do some other things in select object menu. We won't need any of those just at the moment. If you close the properties by mistake anytime, you can always right click anywhere and bring it up. So we can bring up properties and bring it back. Okay. Let's see, it's context sensitive, so if we click off, it goes back to the higher level. If you click onto an object, it gives the properties of that object. Pretty simple so far. So we've created a base. Now there's a couple of things on these maps. Let's say we've got some AA guns here, so if we just click down to the ground level map, and we have to move back a bit, I think. There we go, just scroll back a bit. There should be, it's around here somewhere. It doesn't always pop up straight on top of it when you do that. Oh, there it is. So there's one. That's an AA gun. You can on the 2D map and this view, you can always you've got a selection box around it. There's a green section box, and on this you can't really do much with it. But if you go back to the top view and come down, you can see the green selection box there, and on the corner is a red box, and this is the rotate. So we click into that, left click and hold, and drag it round. And similarly, you can drag the item around, left click and hold. If you move something round and it can end up at a different height. If you got because the train's obviously not flat, so we go back into that view. Let's find that thing I just dragged around. There it is. So it may or may not be at ground level now. It's difficult to tell at this stage, but if you want it to be at ground level, you can force it to ground level by using this button up here, which is the green arrow into the black ground. Set on ground, that's quite useful. Just click it and that will take it down to ground level. Okay, things like AA guns, as I said, they need to be linked entities. So if we delete the link, it wouldn't appear in game like that. But if we go back and create linked entity, it's now live. As I say, it's got advanced properties like most things in game. In this case, the countryside, the side it's on, Russia. The AI set for low in this case because we don't want it to be too lethal, but you can obviously put that up if you want. And that's pretty much all we need to know there. So we can set AA guns. We'll set another one up just for you. You'll find them over on the right here, all the different objects you can put into game. So if we click on artillery and we click on, say, that's a little ground machine gun, so we've got searchlights, things like that. So we'll find something in here to put down. Okay, there's a little AA gun there. We can set that out. Let's put that by the windsock over here. So bam, there it is. It automatically goes to ground level wherever it is. We can rotate it so it's pointing towards the enemy, and all we have to do then is name it if we want to. Let's call it AAA or AA or AAMG, and give it number 01. The name is useful when you're actually editing the mission. You see what it gives you an impression of what you've actually put there. It's not essential. The actual in game, everything has its own ID. In this case, it's 1146. So the game will track it through the ID number, not through the name. Okay, so we need to create a linked entity. So click on that. So it's now live in game. Next. The only other thing we've really got on this mission is influence areas. This is the front line, like the old front line in IL2 for Mission Builder, and it's translate influence area. You can find it in the right hand in MCUs. MCUs are all the commands and all the triggers in game. So this is a little bit yeah, it's a little bit counterintuitive to use. Actually, what you've got to do is right click on it and select object menu and edit influence area boundary. So there we go, bam. Now nothing's much changed apart from the cursor's become a cross. So if you click on then on the line of the edge of the boundary, you can click on it and you'll see not quite randomly, but it does it on the nearest line, a yellow circle appear. This is an editing point. You can actually pull it around. So I've got one there. If we click over here, now I've got one in that corner. Move that around. Over here we've got another one. Over here we've got another one. So, but if you want to make a more complicated front line, you could hold down control and click on the line. Not quite there. Let's get it right. It does its nearest line, so there. Bam. And we created a line there. You need to do it on the line you've already got selected, which is a bit counterintuitive, so select that line and we can create one there. Move it around. I say it's not entirely, it's a bit counterintuitive the way it works, but you'll get used to it after a bit. So that gives you front line for both sides. If you escape to get out of the editing side of it, you can go onto the advanced menu here and set the side it applies to. So everything on this side of the map is Russian, everything on the other side is set to be German. So when you bail out on the enemy side, you'll be captured. Okay, so the only other thing I think we need to talk about is maybe changing the name of the mission when we save it. So I'm going to rename this Prang, so it'll be my version, and we can save as, and here again you'll have to change the name. Prang, and we'll save it as a mission file. Save it in, so it's now saved. If we go into the actual missions, you'll notice there's a lot more than just the mission files. Every mission has a number of other files listed in it, including a list file, the English, German, Polish and Russian language version. If you look at the language in one of these, you'll find that it's just, it gives the description and the name. So, and the most important part is when it saves the mission, it creates an MSN bin, which is it's just the mission file but compressed, and this is the the mission file that will be sent across the server to the clients when they connect, or the other players when they connect to the game. So you don't, when you're passing on a mission to someone, you can include the mission file, but which is the bigger file, but you can actually leave that out if they just want to run it as a server. You don't need that mission file. That's only for editing the mission. Okay, that's end of the first tutorial.